Thank you for joining, everyone. If you're new, this preamble is for you. We do this call every Friday because MSPs asked what was new in the platform, what we fixed, and you folks wanted to do a little R&D or rob and duplicate some of the ideas that your peers have. Couple reminders. This is a technical call. You don't have to be technical, but we do need a place for folks that want to automate where they can talk and chat and share ideas without stress. Also, don't forget about Flow. Can someone post the Flow link in the chat?
Chris, you got it.
Chris. We are going to sell out. It's going to be a crazy show. We have some really good MSP speakers to talk to you all. Please register now before the last 2 weeks, because the last 2 weeks they're going to get stressful and people are going to escalate how someone is mad, and that'll make me sad because not everyone can get in that wanted to be. If you're interacting with us in Discord, please tag us. Please respond in the thread. Something to give us a heads up because we're monitoring hundreds of Discord channels at once.
This call may be recorded for coaching purposes.
Thank you, AI bot. It is good if you're using Discord, because let me count how many MSPs have been successful who have never asked a question. 2, 4, 5, 89, 0. Ask questions. One of the biggest indicators of whether or not someone is going to succeed in automation is if they have an ego. Those people don't ask questions and they don't learn. With that, take it away, Ash.
Thank you so much, Aaron. I totally will not believe that you are anything but. Let's stop sharing now, and we will. That was so fun. George, don't you have some like community updates or something for people?
I do. Well done, Ben. That was that was incredible. I think I'm very excited to hear the real Aaron Shady's opinion of when he watches this recording back. Yeah, quick update for me, guys. Just a little reminder. I'll post the link in the chat that I have a little calendar link for some community creation videos. So you may have seen on LinkedIn every Wednesday, we do a Workflow Wednesday video where we're just identifying some super simple or creative or innovative workflows in like a 3-minute clip, just to kind of help give a little bit more exposure to what our community members are building, as well as kind of just share some of those bits and pieces. Quick story, like this week we had a brand new partner that's in the middle of their onboarding, and they brought up an automation they're trying to work on that's all to do with N Central and pulling custom components in from that and moving it over. And I was like, oh, Rod McLeod literally did a video on this 2 weeks ago. Here is the link. And he's like, this is perfect. And just went off and watched that, and that really helped solve his problems. And then he was like, oh, who's this guy, Rod? Is he on Discord? I was like, he is on Discord. If you want questions, you can go find Rod in our community server. So I love that little story. And just to give folks some insight, we're not looking for BAFTA winning or Oscar winning speeches or recordings. We've done password resets. We've done this is how you automate to send an email. It can really be anything you want. So if you're someone who joins this call regularly, and even you think, oh, I'm a little bit uncomfortable maybe presenting live to over 100 people, come and get your feet wet with me. Book 15 minutes. That's all it takes. We can run through a quick recording and I'll make you Workflow Roost Wednesday famous. I'll drop that in the chat now.
And don't discount the BAFTA. Like maybe it'll come out of that. Who knows?
Maybe it will.
You've not seen George's films. Maybe it is. Anyway, thank you. We're gonna jump over now to our. I think did he get demoted? No. He's still our second favorite Canadian, Danial, with an A.
Oh yeah. Hey everybody. Hey buddies. I am Canadian. Okay, what do I got for you today? So we have some new features and bugs that came out. Integrations, we added a no validate option. I just want to thank Jack Rowley in public for helping me understand why we care about no validate in Halo PSA tickets. I hope I'm not sharing sorry, just 1 second. Move some windows around so I can make sure we're all good. I can see you pretty faces. Okay. So for no validate, we added that parameter to the add an update ticket action. Right now, or I guess previously, there are you probably have mandatory fields if you use Halo PSA, so your clients can know to actually fill out those fields, and there's validation on those. Now that validation still applies via API. So what we have added is a field no validate that skips that validation process, because sometimes when you're adding tickets via your API, you actually don't know all those mandatory fields. So you can skip that validation. So it's just an enhancement to that ticket action that gives you some flexibility when creating tickets. We've also added a new ServiceNow trigger. This is a pretty flexible trigger. It allows you to monitor different database tables. So you can select what database table you're monitoring in ServiceNow and see when changes occur there. We've added a new transforms. I don't even know who did this, but I'm just going to assume it was Dan Hayes. So thank you to Dan Hayes for creating this new date formatting transform. And then we've added some simplified navigation into App Builder. I'll show both of those. I'll show all these shortly. We have about 1 million bug fixes that happened this week. So go team. And then we still have, I'm going to give one update on something that I showed yesterday. I leaked some of the changes to workflow page search and filtering. We found one bug. We got some feedback as we were testing it that we weren't properly showing when a filter was applied. So because these filters are persistent, what could happen is you would go to your page and you'd see, hey, I only have one workflow. Where'd all my other workflows go? And we weren't properly showing that a filter had been applied, so you can go and remove that filter if you want to see them all. So we're doing a quick UX improvement on that, and then we'll be able to hopefully give that to everybody. So I'll quickly show the no validate. If you look at some of the functionality here, you can see that I have 2 Halo PSA add or update ticket actions. If I scroll down to the skip validation here, you can see that I have skip validation QRST. There we go. Skip validation. I have this set to true. You'll have to trust me that I have this set to false. When I run this, you'll see that one will fail, one won't. I'll let you guess which one. And then we have date formatting here. So you can take a date string. You can set some string formatting options, show what order you want it in. So you have a few different options for how you want it formatted. And I'll just test this one out right now. Yeah, so you can see here that we have the input is in this format and the output is formatted the way that I had specified. And you can see that this failed because I have skip validation set to false. And you can see that the summary is mandatory. So it checked to see if that mandatory field was applied. And in this one, it did not check for that and it created a ticket. The navigation simplification that we have here is actually, so if you look up top, you can actually scroll through when you're on the page builder. You can scroll through all of your sites here. And then you can also scroll through the pages in your sites. So just lets you navigate all of your apps and your pages a lot more simply. But that's all I have for this week. So yeah, back to you, Ash.
Thank you. Okay, so now I need to like unpin that. That's disarming. Okay, disorienting is the word I was looking for. All right, JP, you're up now.
Thanks.
Marketplace.
All right. So sadly, no crate demo this week, but we've been working on a lot of bug fixes and to kind of help stem the tide of new bugs that we're introducing. We've been doing a lot of work surrounding unit testing for workflows. So more on that in the future, but very cool stuff that we're introducing. Also, I've been creating a lot of transforms, and we have a few refactors in the pipeline that hopefully will be pretty good quality of life increases in some of our more popular crates. So aside from that, nothing else really from the marketplace team this week.
I was looking for my mute button. All right, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so now we will jump over to Clea for the education update.
Thank you. I am here. Just got back from a dog walk, so give me 1 second to pull up the page. But today, no new updates from Cluck University. We wanted to mainly shout out the recent slew of folks who got certified. There are a lot of you. And I have almost caught my breath and almost gotten the screen up to share. So here we go. Shout outs to, this is like getting ready to blow out the candles on your birthday cake. Like I'll probably have to take a break. Eric, Dylan, Corbinian, Jeff, Dylan, Connor, Calvin, Charlie, Alex, David, Matthew, Lucas, Colton, Samantha, Dunkel, Nathan, Richard, Stephen, Maria, Travis, and Alex for passing the Roost Foundation certification, and many more. And our very own Maria from Roost. Join the ranks and get your fancy badge and certificate in the Cluck University. We also have some clean automation graduates. Anto, Daniel, Lucas, Billy, Cameron, Alex, Andrew, Charlie, Joshua, Andy, James, Andrew, Ryan, Calvin, and Thomas for that one. As always, we've got office hours. We've got live training from the legendary Eddie. I am super curious if I could get a quick show of hands or some kind of reactions in the chat. Who here has been to the new Cluck University and learned something? Would like to shout out you all for doing the things. Awesome. I see some virtual high fives, some hands, some chatter in the chat. So I think I mentioned this last week, but we recently reordered the homepage. There is some new stuff there. And if you are ever looking for all of our courses, there's a search page there. And the calendar has recently been updated to link to our live stuff at the top. So go see Eddie, go cheer him on, go learn all the Roost things. And thank you for your time. And thanks everyone for learning with us.
Thank you, Clea. All right, so we've got a few demos. There's a little bit of a loose kind of learning, unfinished work, experiential education. Oh, do we have a question, Andrew? Or is that just a, oh, probably. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so we're gonna jump in. Like I said, we're gonna start with Stephen from Green Loop. Are you on?
I'm on. All right.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you are showing us today? I heard it was pretty cool.
Yeah, let me, I'll share my screen in a second. Yeah, so what we built is a workflow to generate Entra Verified ID face check kind of enrollments and presentation requests. So the general idea, so Ben did a good was a service there by showing us that alarmingly convincing deepfake earlier. But seriously, that's the kind of thing that we're concerned about on the help desk. And as we all know, AI generated, especially voice and things like that, make it harder and harder to verify the person you're talking to is actually the person that we should be talking to for sensitive type of authorization. So Microsoft has I'm sure on the right screen here. Microsoft has this thing called Entra Verified ID. You may have seen it if you've been in there recently. It's a decentralized identity mechanism where users get a kind of an encrypted identity that they store in their wallet on the Microsoft Authenticator app. And then we can use that to kind of generate cross-tenant authentication requests. So one of the scenarios that they talk through here is this verified help desk. and they walk you through the at least kind of outline it. There's, as usual, the documentation's pretty good. So I built kind of a proof of concept flow that allows me to issue a verified ID to someone who doesn't have one. It does require the face check part in particular. I have to kind of do a little bit of setup in our tenant to start with, and then I have to install an app in the client tenant, and then I can generate a enrollment request. They get a QR code they scan to generate that, store it in their authenticator, and then when I need to do a verification, a presentation request, then I can generate that on my side as well. So I built a form for the enrollment side that basically just looks at a ticket, and it's going to pull in who is the user on that ticket. We'll check and see what their email address is and check that against Entra. Because it's decentralized, verified ID doesn't know what the say that user is in their tenant currently, and so it's going to go and check that and make sure we're not verifying someone whose account's been disabled or even removed, because they can still have a verified ID. It's going to check that. It's also going to check and see if they have a valid photo, because they need that in order to generate a verified ID that works with face check. It actually stores the current user profile photo in the verified ID that it stores in Authenticator. So I intentionally uploaded a pretty old picture of myself just to see what it does in terms of verification score. It generates a score at the end saying how certain is Microsoft, the Azure service they are processing these, that the person in the picture and the person that it sees when you do the verification request are the same person, right? So then I can send an email to that person with the email address in the ticket, and I'll pull that up here. Give it just a second. Let's see. But that was the enrollment request. I actually am already enrolled, so I'm just going to skip straight to the face check side here. So I'm going to pick this is my kind of demo tenant that we built for this. Again, it does the same thing, checks to make sure the user is actually registered. Checks and see if they actually have a current valid credential as well, just in case we've perhaps revoked their credential, or they it's expired, or they don't have anything valid. It's going to check and make sure that our enrollment request is actually likely to succeed. So it tells me here I do have a valid one, so I can shoot the email off. And I also got it working with text messaging. One of the interesting things with texting was you can send them a link, but then to get it to open correctly in Authenticator requires a couple of workarounds on the webhook response side, but I can show that if anyone's really interested. Okay, so my enrollment request came into my test account's email and just pulls up a QR code. And if I scan that with the Authenticator that has the verified ID associated with it, just kind of open Authenticator and hit the scan icon there, and it's going to ask me, kind of walk the user through some instructions. And right now it's kind of doing a live video check. It tells me what to do as far as how close the camera is. It flashes white and black screen to get a good kind of liveness check. And then once it completes the process, then it asks me if I want to share that. So I share that back to Microsoft. And when I created this presentation request in my workflow, it actually is running. Let me see here. I'll pull this up. Here's my execution. So it's sending a webhook, and then it's going to wait for it to come back. It actually hits that webhook a couple times, so I had to put in place a separate kind of sub workflow with a filter to filter out just the requests that I want, to make sure we're hitting that with just once it's actually done. And then once it's all complete, I've got it writing the writing the presentation request. So it verified that my face matches the face it has in the picture, and then it's going to actually have it uploading kind of the picture that was part of the presentation request back into SharePoint. And so I end up using PowerShell quite a bit for a few of these endpoints. The MSAL endpoints have to build those out separately. It's not a built-in action, and then there's some custom scope claims that you need to use in there. And then getting the pictures to upload especially was a thing that PowerShell seemed to do better than Jinja. So yeah, so anyway, that's kind of a quick overview. Glad to dig into anything if anyone's interested in seeing more. But right now we're not deploying this live for clients just yet. We're still trying to figure out what it will look like. To figure out on the help desk side, I'd like to build like a ticket pod to make it easier for technicians to use as well from ConnectWise Manage. But yeah.
A lot of celebration going on in the chat and the screen. Anybody have any questions? Alden, I saw you post one. If you want to come off mute, you can ask, or you already got the answer. I'm not sure.
I didn't get the answer. Stephen, in the API call for the verified ID, because I remember when they were showing that off, they were like, you can use this for your library or for the hospital, and you can specify how much it needs to match depending on whether you're using it for a library or the hospital. Is that part of the API call?
Yes, so I can create. This must end up in a sub workflow. Find that. So at the presentation request level, you can specify, the confidence threshold is a tunable parameter. So you could potentially call that out into a variable and do logic on it, of course. So yeah, I believe 70% is the default that Microsoft uses. You don't technically have to specify it if you're just sticking with the default, but it is configurable.
What was the hardest part while you were going through kind of learning all this? Were there any gotchas that you stumbled upon?
Man. Yeah, I mean, getting the photos to upload back into SharePoint or handling like QR code presentations and email and some of that stuff between PowerShell and Jinja was pretty challenging. And then Microsoft changed the way they were returning the QR code or the user photo information at one point. So then I had to rework that piece. And then there's just a lot of logic involved, and I'm not handling all of the exceptions and some of the edge cases just yet, but that will come. So
Awesome. You said they changed it. Is this like a beta endpoint or a canary or?
I don't think so. I'm not quite sure why they changed it. I couldn't find any documentation on it, but basically when you actually complete the presentation request, then it actually sends the picture they gave you back, but then they changed the base 64 format that they give you the photo in to one that you had to do some additional parsing on to get actual usable base 64. So that was
helpful.
That was fun.
Thank you so much. That's really interesting. Alden just commented he's being barely graduating from alpha. All right, so next up, Jen. I sort of strong-armed Jen into demoing. She's like, it's not ready, and I'm like, that's the point. So, Jen, are you on?
Thank you, Ash. Steven's is going to be much cooler than mine, but ironically, it also has to do with something with QR codes. So let me share my screen here. So to start off with, this is a little bit about a project that I've been working on in some downtime to basically control lost inventory. I think everybody at NMSP really encounters those cables and cords that kind of go missing. You buy 20 HDMI cables and you don't know if you billed for any of them. So this kind of gives somebody a way to get around that a little bit. So if you've never used Halo before, I'm sure you've used ConnectWise. So ticket types, actions, ticket types, you'll be familiar with ConnectWise, but Halo gives you the ability to build in actions into your tickets also. So I have a ticket type for printing labels, and it gives me the ability to select items that are on the ticket already, or if I want to pull something from the inventory item list, whatever, or if I want to just do a quick selection of items. This is really for like an existing ticket, but if I want to just select an item to create a PDF label for that, I can then, print out into a nice label format that I just want to stick on the thing that is going to go into the technician's bag that I don't really want to control inventory for. So once this is generated, the technician has it in their bag. When they scan it, it brings you to a Roost web page. That's a webhook that I built that works with the technician's camera. So you can scan said QR code, right, with the camera. This is what it looks like when you actually scan it. I don't know if anybody actually tried to scan that QR code, but it's not actually going to bring you to the Roost webhook. So this is what it looks like. You scan the image, it's got the product ID, it's got a ticket number, because if it's an item on an existing ticket, it will pull the ticket number. You can add a serial number, but it's not doing anything right now. New item, existing item. Well, so much in the chat, sorry. So you add the ticket number and you hit submit. Here, let me do that really quick on the actual QR code. So start. Once you add said ticket number here, 2545, and you hit submit. It submits it to Roost. So it's just going off of a HTML template. It's nothing fancy. It's the webhook. It's not doing anything here. It's just got the action to have it not fail. So when it receives the QR data, though, this is the one that I just submitted. It takes those items, or the item, it takes the product ID, the quantity, whatever serial number you've entered, the ticket number that you've entered, and it goes through, gets what the stock is, and it goes about issuing the items. It says, okay, I'm grouping them by ticket. It does each ticket individually, so you can add more than one ticket item. If you're delivering multiple items for multiple tickets, just try to think of every little edge case and contingency. If it doesn't have the stock, it goes through and stocks the item, issues the item, and that's really long. I shouldn't have clicked on it, and then delivers the item. So we can go back to the ticket that didn't have items before, and we can see there's now a wireless mouse, and it should have been delivered, but it's not because I didn't refresh the page. Yeah, there we go. Now it's delivered. So this is still a work in progress. This is the part that wasn't really like finished. And it's not even really finished because there's more I want to do with like serialized assets and stuff like that in Halo, because Halo's silly about that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's what I have. That's what Ash strong-armed me into today.
Thank you, Jen.
If anybody wants to ask any questions, by all means.
I like James's comment here, because underneath it is like so true of all of us here. He said, "Did she just say nothing fancy and then show us a ton of JavaScript?" It's like I feel that all the time, right? Somebody will be like, "I built this cool little workflow," and somebody else is like, "Little."
I use GPT for everything. I understand it when I look at it, and that helps for like troubleshooting and QA and stuff like that. But I'm not going to sit there for 3 hours and code all that JavaScript. I'm not going to
Unless
do
you're
that.
Chris.
Unless you're Chris, and then he's crazy because he's nuts. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's Chris. Chris.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
Now we're going to jump over to Emmett, who I will say I strong-armed a little bit less.
So we're we're trying to figure out a way to utilize the bot that earlier or at the end of last year we partnered with Zentop and they gave us the foundation, and we've been trying to build off of that to try and figure out what all we can and can't do with our team spot. So something that my help desk manager came to me with yesterday was an issue that we're having where tickets are stuck in certain statuses for too long of a time, and we need to make sure that they don't go stale or we respond to our clients in a timely manner. So right now I'm going to share my screen, and the first stop we've got right here is just listing the service tickets, and it filters the owner, the ID, status, summary, and the company, and then the status that is filtered is client responded to ticket. And then these two were things that I stole from the bot handler that Zentop gave us. But right here, let's see here, yes. So this is what was causing me the most headaches, and caused this part to be a whole lot easier once I figured it out. The problem that I was having was that I had all of the conversation IDs for my users in one list, and everything else, the conversation ID and the user ID was in the output of this call, but I needed everything else from this call, and I got to a point where I had everything right, but then while I was comparing everything, my output was double the amount of tickets that I had in this in the list service calls. So I did not realize that I could use this loop index spot filter in here. It's not a filter, but this parameter in Jinja that allows me to add this secondary list in, and so that way when it comes through to send the first message, it has the I can show what that list looks like. Let's see here. It pulls everything. It pulls the company name, the conversation ID, the user ID, the owner, the ticket ID, and the summary of the ticket. So that way, when we go to send that first message to the user, all I have to do is run a with item. I love my with items. I love having this function right here, and then just being able to go in and say, all right, here's where I need this, 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 and this, and then your ticket has been sent to client responded to ticket. Please respond before filling the blank, and all of that is just found in this list. It took me a while to finally figure this part out, but like I said, once I did, it shows up right here. And actually, I should be able to throw in or show what it looks like on Teams. Let's see here. Yeah. Let's see. Oops. Sorry. So there we go. Actually, let's see here. This was different. Yeah, your ticket has been set to client responded to ticket. Here's my test ticket. Click view ticket, and then it brings you to the ConnectWise form as well. And as we progress, it will add different managers and to get involved as long as if necessary.
That is super cool, Emmett. Does anybody have any questions for Emmett? While they're thinking about those, can you tell me what your next steps like immediately are? Like what you're doing next?
Yeah, so next steps, I actually, after you messaged me, I was finishing up one of the next steps, but it will continue to list the service tickets, and then if there's any that are matched from the first or the second, on the second run, if there's any matched from the first run, that's when it involves, it escalates the internal communication, and then same on the next run through. There'll be about an hour to 2 hour wait time between the escalations, but if it doesn't match any from the first run or the run before, it'll just go back to that first initial message and say, hey, maybe shoot a message or update this ticket and see what's going on with it. And then on the next step, on the next message, if it needs to be escalated, it's the same message to the technician, but a different message to whoever else needs it. So.
Thank you so much. All right. Now we are going to jump to Owen. Owen, you are up.
Sweet. This is kind of my first time, I guess, demoing. It's a super simple workflow, but I took Robin Duplicate like as a challenge for this one. So Ash asked me if I would be willing to share something, and I took that as a challenge to make a workflow at that moment, and that was only like an hour ago. So here we go. Let's see. So I got some inspiration from SIP. Those of you who are not aware, the CyberDrain team is making some really cool stuff. And I figured, I used to be at an MSP, and the alert admin password was something that a lot of our clients just like to know. I'd like to know if there was a breach or something like that. Hopefully our conditional access policies stop them, or sometimes people just change things internally, and that's just a pain. And so I was wondering, hey, how easy would this be to just make and roost? And so with the idea of robbing and duplicating, it only takes, a few API calls to the graph endpoint to get the alert data and to get the latest changes per admin user. So I went ahead and made that, and it works. So I'll go ahead and I made it available on GitHub. I'll throw that in the chat. And yeah, feel free to take that and set up your alerts however you want. This is just a simple thing, a simple idea to rob and duplicate, but it's been on my bucket list to start making some workflows available for people, that come from great ideas, and that's what I had to share. Any questions?
I love that we have, I love that you said that you're like, yeah, sure. And then you made something. And then I love that you followed that up with like, and I could do something bigger later. And so you were like, you're thinking about the immediate, and then you're also thinking about the future. So like, super cool. Alden had a very important question. How are you so cool? Jonathan asks, how do you know if it works?
Well, I ran through the tests, John, so I did a couple
I don't know if that was a
couple
troll or
examples
not.
here. So I won't show our internal names of accounts and stuff, but it does function. I changed the little caret so that I did less than or greater than, and I just switched that. So even if it doesn't change or have a recent change, you can still test to see if the string date evaluation is working. So
Dan, do you have a question?
Question, Owen. Could you instead use a Entra subscription webhook trigger so that you don't have to wait for a cron trigger and know immediately?
you probably could. I don't have experience setting those up, so that would be something to look into, but not a bad idea.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. If not, we will. We've run through everything pretty quickly. We do have a final little show and tell hack. Actually, our very own CEO of Ops, CE Ops himself, Aharon. You want to show us something?
Thanks, Ash. Let's see. My screen share. I put together just a little quick demo of things that customers aren't aware that you can do with forms. And so I put together just a little example just because there's little tips and tricks that I picked up along the way that I wanted to share. So one of them you saw earlier, you can embed images in the form. You can also do some crazy things with Markdown, like add warnings. There's emojis for bulb, for bomb, things like that. And this is kind of what that looks like. I'll paste something in the chat afterwards, but you can make a little image reference here, and it'll actually show the image on the form. The little caution dude is 3 colons, and I think Mindy may have a video out there that shows even more of these. So I just did the one example. And then obviously, bold for bold, bomb for bomb. Other quick tip on this that I don't see a lot of people take advantage of sometimes. You can pre-fill your forms for your clients. So if I add name equals bin on the end, it adds bin on the end. If I then say, product is refill, it'll change the option for it. And something to kind of put, kind of get you thinking, a lot of RMMs have variables that you can populate these values with when you're sending these to clients. So like an email template or something, for example, ConnectWise has contact name, contact email. You can start filling these things out for the client. And then the last little tidbit that I want people to be aware of is, let's say, there's something that's not on the form, but you would like to know if it came from the PSA, but there's not a field for that. If you add source via PSA, and I just fill this out real quick and say quantity 2, and one little bit I did forget, if it's a checkbox, you just do true is all you do to fill that out, true or false. But if I send this, I added source equals PSA, and I go to the execution history, and that is the wrong one. Let me get the one for this workflow. There we go. So I sent source equals PSA, and it's going to make me a liar in the demo world. But usually it'll also add that in there. I think I may have mistyped that. But at a super high level, those are just some tips and tricks that not everyone's aware of.
That was awesome. Thank you, Aharon. We are at time, which means we were super efficient today. It's probably all that work flowing. That means we've got time for questions or chat. Anybody have any strong opinions, things they want to show off, things they want to talk about? I bet, Riggs, you could make them on topic. You have skill.
Nah, they just get me in trouble.
Adam, you have your hand up?
Hey Ash, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, can.
Okay, it's a quick question. It's a basic question. Recently I installed a crate for MFA not enforced users. It's like a report, and it works well. The only thing is that it gives me a bunch of users, and many of them are like service accounts. If I wanted to have like, well, I don't know if the process to request maybe an improvement, if we could filter like only for accounts that have assigned Microsoft licenses, so that we can distinguish real users. What would be the process to request maybe an improvement like that in a crate?
Do we have anyone from the marketplace team want to chime in on that?
If no one is going to chime in, I can help with that. I don't know if JP or anyone, but yeah, Jack Rowley, Jack Rowley, he is absolutely right. There's a couple ways that you can do it. You could, the way that we would suggest is putting in a canny request for any improvements. So if you go to the top right, when you're logged into Roost, if you go to the top right, there's a little light bulb icon. You can click on that and you can submit any requests you want in there, but also feel free to talk. It'd probably be beneficial if you talked it through with us on in any of the communication methods that you have. So either talking to your CS person through Discord, any of those communication methods would be great. But yeah, Kenny. Oh, go ahead, JP. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd recommend talking to like your account rep or something like that, or even the Rock, and putting in a ticket that way. That's probably the most streamlined way to get something in front of our team. So, and we love seeing those suggestions and making things. I mean, you're the people using them, so I love getting that feedback.
Excellent. Thank you so much, guys. I'll do that.
And Linda had a really important question here too for Daniel.
I did. When are we getting folders, Daniel?
Well, that wraps up the open mic for this week. So see y'all next.
Doesn't Kelvin have any questions?
I think he's driving. Is he still on the call? I don't even know.
If he's
I'm
driving,
pretty
that
sure
means
he would
he's
be
free.
asking about negative time savings.
There you go. James got him. And so did Jim Barry.
James task level time savings. Daniel's just like, when did this become the firing squad and Daniel call? We've got 145 people on the call here. If anybody has anything at all that they want to chat about, bring it up. Otherwise, we don't want to keep you guys. This might be a first.
Is there any ETA on that date range filter for workflow execution history? I was told soon.
So we were hoping we have it in production behind a feature flag right now, but we found a bug relating to that we think is a blocking bug. So right now you can't properly see when you have filters applied, and so we found that on testing, people would apply filters, they're persistent, so they'd come back to the workflows or results page, and it would still be applied, but they wouldn't be able to see that there was anything applied, and they'd be like, hey, why do I only have one workflow? So we're going to quickly try and make that change, get that into either, I think the next release is already set, so the release after, and then we'll deploy after that. So not next release, but the release after that. That's the hope.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
I often have to go look back at the history for what it did to a ticket a week or two ago, and It's a couple hundred clicks sometimes.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the two main reasons why we've done stuff like this is, or one of the two best examples is exactly what you said. You don't have to click through all the pages. And the other one is like if you have, just for context for anybody else who doesn't know about these. So we have these new filters that will be available shortly. And you can include and exclude. So if you're looking for all the primary workflows of all of your crates, what you could do is you could say include all crate related workflows that have that crate attribute and exclude all sub workflows. And then you'll see just a list of all your primary workflows.
We've got hand up with Reed. And then Paul. Oh, Reed,
Yeah,
did you put your hand down?
Oh, that's just because I was
Oh.
going off, starting to speak. I was wondering if there was any way to identify actions that have the capability of hard failing, that you won't be able to interrogate the errors that were associated with that. Just, because like I had a ticket with the Rock and it turned out that, well, the reason you can't find the errors is because it hard fails and doesn't return any error. Like you can see it in the execution results, but you can't interrogate it at the action. There was like a way of identifying those, or having some kind of extra little icon or something, just so that we know that, oh, this action could hard fail.
I don't have an answer to that. I don't know if there's anybody on the Rock or on the automations team or even engineering that would have an answer. I don't know. I don't think. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think we need more context there. And maybe you can have one of the Rock people that you've been working with reach out to product and explain the situation a little bit better. Because
it's basically a graph call that I guess that particular graph endpoint on like disabling a user, if there was a permissions problem, it fails, but the error information doesn't exist in the result. It's
from graph.
Yeah, this one was a graph. I mean, I don't know if there are other actions that hard fail in a similar way where the result is basically empty.
Well, I think most people that deal with APIs see 500 errors and stuff like that, which you get no data back, right? There's nothing we can really do about that. It's just the server's failing to give us any response.
No, it does. It was like a 400 code or something.
But no additional data around the 400.
Well, it's in the execution, the workflow execution, you can see it, but it's not in the result in the workflow.
Oh.
So you can't see it via code, but if you go into the workflow execution result, then you can browse through. And that's what really confused me, because I'm like, it's right here. I can see it in the workflow execution, and the Rock told me that it's a hard fail is the way they described it. And
can you hear me right now? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So typically this isn't a platform thing. This is just the way when that happens, it's a workflow build thing. So if action fails and there's no logic to handle the failure on a transition, that would cause a hard failure of the workflow. If that's happening in a sub workflow or something like that, the error might end up nested. And if there's no error handling or logging for that action, you'll get those results you're talking about
in the fail. Transition.
It's not so much a platform issue or a feature thing, Daniel. It's just a build related thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know. I was trying to handle the error. Like that was the whole point. Okay.
Definitely reach out to us though, and if we can. I mean, I'm pretty visual, so if you have some like concrete examples, Reed, and can like show us kind of a screenshot or a workflow where this has happened, I'm sure we can help you out, or at least track if it's a
Yeah, I
bug
can
or
ping
anything
you
like
with the ticket that we had
Okay.
for it.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Perfect.
We got 5 minutes left for Paul. Your question.
Yeah, I had posted this in the Discord, and I was surprised that other MSPs weren't having this same issue as well. We have our client base in particular, offboards and onboards. I would say about like 70% of the same people all the time. So they're very seasonal. So when using the Roost onboarding forms, right, like when they leave the company, they're offboarded, they're suspended in Entra, all that. And then when they go to re-onboard them, let's say like 3 months later, the user onboarding form will, just fail because it says the user already exists. And I understand why that happens. But is there a way, because I lose all of that automation, right? Like the cool automation of like resetting the password, sending the employee their password via the supervisor's mailbox, all that stuff. Has anyone like found a way around that, or maybe has created a custom workflow to maybe get around that?
I mean, you should just be able to make a few modifications to the crate to get around that check. You shouldn't need like a full custom thing, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and I haven't looked into it too hard. It's a little bit lower on my priority list. Yeah, I see Owen's comment. Delete the user object and re-onboard. Yeah, I mean, totally, right? Like, I definitely could do that, but yeah, exactly. Like, there's a reason why we don't totally delete AD accounts, right? Like, no sysadmin ever deletes AD accounts. They just suspend them. So yeah, like reactivating the user in Entra, forcing the MFA re-register, and resetting their password with the temporary password. I know it's definitely possible. I just didn't know if someone else had done it already, so I don't have to do it on my own. Sounds like a no. So
Yeah,
that
it's
is all good.
We can also take it offline too and see whether there's anybody that might have more insight, or you can tag in Discord.
Yeah. Okay.
Any request? All right. Yeah. All right. Well, we are at 3:58. Oh, and Neil, you have a question?
Super quick. Is anyone doing like external application creations outside of like SSO apps when performing new user onboardings? For example, a new user onboarding needs like additional HIPAA training outside of like it's a system that's not integrated with like SSO or something like that, and it's a like, are they using some browser automation or anything like that to handle it? And how do you guys run it? Because we have a large company that needs that set up, and then the users removed upon users leaving.
Eldon, was that in response to Anil?
It was, yeah. So like if you're just using the built-in onboarding crate or offboarding crate, adding a completion handler, and then building a custom customer like further onboarding workflow that does do all of the manual tools that you've got to onboard, does all the password generation, does all the PW pushes for them. Having that as a completion handler in the child org is the way that I've done it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I gotta just find the right tools to make it happen. I came across this tool called Robo Rabbit, I believe it's called, to do that. So I'm seeing some other people mention stuff, but I'll have to read through it after the call to see what people are doing specifically. But yeah, we have a few of those situations where there's portals and whatnot that need to, additional accounts need to be created after the, like, for a user onboarding. And then, yeah.
Thank you. All right, yeah,
Thank you,
so
guys.
there's lots going on there. Brian, we're at time, but did you have something quickly that you wanted to ask?
Just very quickly, are the app builder AMAs still happening, or have I missed those? It seems like it's been a bit.
No, at this point, we haven't rescheduled those AMAs. But yeah, maybe I'll reach out to you directly, and I'm interested in getting your feedback on those. So we have not rescheduled those. You're not missing them.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we're at time now. Thank you, everybody. If you didn't get your questions answered, please go engage in Discord. Lots of smart people, lots of willingness to help. And as Eddie said at MSP Geek in his keynote, imposing good upon others. With that, I love you all.
Meow.
Love you too.
Meow meow.